This debate that some people are having, I don't feel that I'm included in that because we're having our own colloquy about, I think, serious issues. But this so-called debate that everybody else is having is going to result in nothing, just a lot of sound bites. There will be no energy policy that comes out of this. Because the fact of the matter is, Mr. President, and everyone knows this that follows, both parties are guilty for not having the right kind of energy policy. Democrats and Republicans alike. Democrats, from my perspective, don't appreciate the way they should the need for more domestic drilling. And so they resist sometimes the need for more domestic drilling. I think Senator Begich and I have pointed out there are some places where there are people, governors and senators, Democratic senators, that are open to drilling. We could go to those places and do a better job of developing onshore and offshore. But Republicans are not good at all when it comes to conservation. And they resist helping the auto industry, for instance, to retool itself, which we know has had an absolute direct bottom line on less petroleum products being used for gasoline. Many of the new automobiles coming out of domestic manufacturers because of what Democrats and President Obama led this effort, which he never gets enough credit for on the other side, to retool Detroit so that just this week in the newspaper, I believe it was the Washington Post, I wanted to ask the senator from Alaska if he saw this article, the most amazing thing has happened over the last 10 years is that our imports of foreign oil have decreased for two reasons. One, we are producing more oil and gas at home, although there have been some setbacks with this administration, which we're not happy about, the two of us, but also because of the conservation that we have done in this country. Mass transit is a part of that, which many Republicans reject. Conservation initiatives is a major part of that, which Republicans reject. Helping the domestic auto industry, which even Mitt Romney, their leader on the Republican side, said that was a mistake to help Detroit, Ohio, et cetera, Detroit, Michigan, and places in Ohio. So I'm coming to the floor to say, this blame game is not going to work because both parties are really, I think, almost equally at fault. Senator Begich and I would like to believe that we kind of represent a little bit of the Democratic side, a little bit of the Republican side, coming from states, both of us being Democrats, but from states that know something about drilling. And I want to put up my map of Louisiana so that people believe when I say that we know something about drilling. This is what my state looks like. Now, some people might not like this picture. This is the oil and gas infrastructure in Louisiana. To somebody that's a purist and doesn't like pipelines and doesn't like oil wells and doesn't like leases, they may recoil at this. But people in Louisiana like this because this is about money, and it's about domestic energy self-sufficiency and independence. These are pipelines. I have 9,000 miles of pipelines under South Louisiana. We've been drilling onshore and offshore for the last 50 years. And until the Macondo well blew up in spectacular fashion and killed 11 people, which is very unfortunate, and the fault of BP and some of the contractors that weren't doing their jobs correctly, it's been for mostly successful, Mr. President. We've drilled 40,000 wells, 40,000. So when the senator from Alaska says, we know something about oil and gas drilling, trust me, it'd be like asking the senators from Michigan, do you know something about building cars? We know about this. We've been fracking, we've been using horizontal drilling, and we know that there is a lot of oil and gas still to be found. So I just remind my friends on the other side, their party is not blameless in this debate, and they could do a lot better for the country if they'd stop trying to throw President Obama under the bus every minute, although I don't agree with all of his energy policies. I didn't agree with the moratorium in the Gulf. I don't agree with tapping SPRO. I think they've made some strong points. But this argument should be not about hurting anyone. It should be about helping our country. And we help our country by a balanced approach, just like the senator from Alaska said, is how we came together on the transportation bill. It was balance. It was compromise. It was a little of this and a little of that, and we put a jobs bill together that is really going to help our nation. We could put an energy bill together if we'd have both parties stop beating up. One party beats up on the companies, the other party beats up on the president, and the poor people are the ones that suffer. Now, I want to show you something about oil and gas taxes. And I know people say, oh, there goes Landrieu again. She's just, defending the oil and gas industry. Well, frankly, some of them in the industry and the industry itself should be defended because it's an honorable, good industry. It has provided jobs. It provides the oil that we needed to win World War II. How do you think the Allied troops got across Europe? They didn't do it on a wish and a prayer. That oil came out of the Permian Basin in Texas. We have a long patriotic history of oil and gas drilling, and we, I guess, get our dander up when people want to beat up on the industry. So I'm going to turn this conclusion over to the senator by saying that the debate about elections and bumper stickers, elections coming up and bumper stickers to put on the car isn't going to help. But a real debate, I'm ready for it. We've introduced several pieces of legislation. I've been a co-sponsor of every major piece of legislation since I've been here on any kind of major energy bill. It has to have a conservation component. It has to have an environmental safety component. It has to have more drilling, revenue sharing. And then I think an expansion of nuclear power would be very important. And then the right subsidy mix for the kinds of energy that we would like to produce in this nation. It would make our nation much stronger when it comes to, of course, energy, but it would make us so economically powerful, Mr. President, and it would make us militarily more powerful because we would negotiate treaties differently if we didn't have to get on our hands and knees and ask people that don't even share our values to pump a little bit more gas for us. We could pump it ourselves.